Welcome to episode 20 of the Imperial Tides podcast. I'm here with my dad again, and today we're going to talk about the sixth final Star Trek original series film, Star Trek The Undiscovered Country, 1991. So before we begin, I'll just provide you guys with a brief summary, synopsis, some trivia, and then we'll get into the discussion from there. So we'll start off with some fun facts first. And Dad, this is for your benefit as well, in case you didn't know any of this.
Thanks, hi everybody.
Pulled most of it off Wikipedia, so yeah. But Star Trek VI, it was released on the 6th of December, 1991. Star Trek VI made $96.9 million on a budget of $27 million. The movie was originally meant to be a prequel that followed the various members of the USS Enterprise during their days as students at Starfleet Academy in San Francisco. It was originally supposed to be something like Top Gun in outer space, as they described it. George Kirk, who was supposed to be Kirk's father, he was going to be a pilot who went missing during a warp experiment with Montgomery Scott. The film would have been set before the Enlightenment of the Federation, so slavery and racism would have still been prevalent, and Spock would have been bullied at the Academy for being the only Vulcan student. Christine Chapel, who I think she's the nurse in the original series, right? She is. Would have made a cameo in the script's climax. This idea didn't go over very well with the original cast and the fans, however, and so it was scrapped in favor of a suggestion Leonard Nimoy made about exploring what would happen if the Berlin Wall came down in space. And that's how Star Trek VI became an allegory for the Cold War. The second idea for the movie was conceived in a script codenamed In Flanders Fields, which is a World War I poem. The same title as a World War I poem. This would have been about the Romulans joining the Federation and going to war against the Klingons. Every member of the crew of the Enterprise except Spock would have been forced to retire for not meeting fitness tests. The physical requirements for that. Then, when Spock and his new crew would be captured by a race of worm-looking aliens based in part by the aliens in Aliens, so the xenomorphs, I guess. Right. The old crew would have to get back together and rescue them. The movie would have ended with everyone but McCoy and Spock getting killed. How would you feel about that?
That would be, no.
Pretty rough?
Yeah, pretty rough.
Yeah. The screenplay was actually written over email for this one, though, the third iteration, which ended up becoming Star Trek VI. It was written using early 90s email, so very, very early email. The movie was given a darker tone in terms of the cinematography and score compared to the other five Star Trek original films. The scenes set in Ruapenta were filmed in Alaska.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Okay.
Sadly, Star Trek creator Gene Roddenberry died shortly before the movie's premiere. In fact, just days after viewing the film. He actually hated the script for it at first, and
really?
because he didn't think that the 23rd century would have bigotry of any form. So if he would have a movie set where it's like the Vulcan kids getting picked on or whatever, like he did.
The original script.
He thought, he thought everyone would have moved past it.
They would. Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah. So he didn't like the woke, I guess, the pre-woke woke, I suppose. You think that would be too woke of the first iteration? How do you feel about it personally? Like, would that have been a good movie? I think they could have pulled it off if they did it right.
I don't know. There's a lot of stuff going on in that one that just one little wrong piece. I mean, look at all the failures today. So it's like it's very delicate, and a lot of it has to do with just casting and cast chemistry too. So if you film it like you're trying to send someone a message versus trying to entertain them, then you fail.
Well, and
that's a
also,
very delicate balance.
I just don't think it makes sense within the universe to have such a short span of time between like just universal cultural acceptance to whatever. You know what I mean? It takes a lot longer than that.
Yeah. And
if you're going to have it be like just a few decades in between.
Well, that's the benefit of
just doesn't really add up in the fictional timeline.
Having filmed that in 1991 because Next Generation was already out, and we already knew the Klingons were part of the Federation, but it was never addressed in any script or any story point.
Because you don't need it, because you can make up a better
transition. Yeah, you have Worf on the bridge of the Enterprise D, but you never have the story on how the Klingons joined the Federation.
Because you kind of don't really need to. Or you could explore later.
No, you didn't need to, and you left it up to the viewer. That's great. And then now the original cast, the original franchise comes back and shows you how that happened. So that really kind of all nicely tied that all up too. Yeah. Now you have the you have all the expositionary for the for how they joined, and it was a really good story, I thought.
Right.
And it didn't take place like overnight. I mean, we were showing that it's 100 years before things kind of calm down.
Right. Yeah, and that's just how it makes the universe pad out a little more and feel more organic. Yeah. So Yeah, we're doing this, and unfortunately, also Christopher Plummer has died recently as well.
Yeah, we watched it the day after Christopher Plummer passed away, and unfortunately, we weren't able to, um, tape this until now.
You did a pretty good job as General Chang, so yeah.
I loved it.
I thought so.
I
Yeah,
love it.
he's my second favorite villain to con. I think. Yeah.
I'd pay real money if he'd shut up.
Yeah. So Star Trek VI actually received 2 Oscar nominations.
Get out.
One for Best Makeup and the other for Best Sound Effects. 6 is actually also the only Star Wars movie to have won the Saturn Award for Best Science Fiction Film.
Wow.
Imagine that, huh? The casting director for this movie was Mary Jo Slater, and she tried to fill the film with as many Hollywood stars as production could afford,
Oh, wow. Okay.
including a minor appearance by her own son, Christian Slater. So,
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
another fun fact, Uhura was originally supposed to be the one to say the line, "Guess who's coming to dinner?" which was inspired by the 1967
Yes.
American comedy drama of the
Why
same
didn't
name.
she?
Guess who's coming to...
I'll tell you in a second. That would have been so much more
impactful,
yeah.
yeah. Guess who's coming to dinner, and Guess who's coming to dinner, in case you don't know.
I know.
I think you know, but in case anybody doesn't know, I didn't know. It's about an interracial marriage, and so it was one of those kind of boundary-pushing movies that portrayed an interracial relationship in a positive light in Hollywood, or popular, whatever you want to call it, cultural. But Chekhov is the one who ends up saying the line instead. He ends up saying, "Guess who's coming to dinner?" instead of Uhura. Uhura was supposed to say another line as well. She was also supposed to say, "Yes, but would you like your daughter to marry one, i.e. a Klingon?" But this line was dropped from the film altogether.
That would have been funnier.
And the reason they did that is because the actress wasn't comfortable doing it.
Okay.
She wasn't comfortable.
All right.
Even though
Right,
I think personally it would have made sense.
Yeah.
But,
It would have been a laugh out loud moment.
Yeah. Well, it's like how in the Star Trek 4 where Whale, like where he asks where the whistles are, the vessels,
the whistles.
He asks the cop, see
the nuclear whistles.
They could have done the same thing where they kind of poke fun at the whole thing.
Yep.
But
the actress she'll do the dance in Star Trek 5, but she won't do that
dance.
Right. Yeah.
So Valeris' name, the character of Valeris, comes in part from the name of the Greek goddess of strife, Iris, with Val added in front of it in order to make it sound more Vulcanized. And this was at the behest of director Nicholas Meyer. So originally they were just going to call her Iris after the goddess, but they added Valeris to make it sound more alien, more Vulcan. Kim Cattrall, who played Valeris, actually did a nude photo shoot wearing nothing but the Vulcan ears.
She did not.
But several of the pictures were personally destroyed by Leonard Nimoy for fear of what would happen to the franchise if they ever got out. So that's a little,
what kid out?
Controversy or something. Yeah, interesting. Nicholas Meyer wrote the role of Chang specifically for Christopher Plummer, who was initially reluctant to accept it. He didn't want to do it at first.
One of his best roles ever.
Yeah. Klingon Chancellor Gorkin's makeup was made to resemble Abraham Lincoln as a way of humanizing him for the audience. While they were filming Gorkin's death, a large lamp actually exploded and the glass rained down all over David Warner, who is the actor playing him, and Deforestation Kelly. Kelly attests that a particularly heavy piece would have actually killed Warner had it not barely missed his head. So that death scene was almost a real death scene. Just a little fun fact for you. The shape-shifting alien Marcia was written with the idea of a darker version of Han Solo in mind. Tonally, not ethnically necessarily. So that's how they came up with it, but I don't know if it shows. But that's what they did. Like a smuggler type, Sigourney Weaver was actually originally imagined as the kind of actress who would suit the role.
Oh, okay.
Admiral Cartwright was played by the same actor Brock Peters who played Tom Robinson in To Kill a Mockingbird, the black man who's convicted for a crime he did not commit.
Oh, yeah.
Nicholas Meyer thought it would be meaningful for Cartwright to be the one to give the vitriolic anti-Klingon speech, and to be the one, of course, who conspires against them, who hates Klingons so much that he's willing to, kill them and everything. What is it? Sacrifice peace just to kind of get back at them. That whole cycle of prejudice and everything. Yeah. The content of the speech was actually so repugnant to Brock Peters that he was actually unable to deliver it in one take. Fun fact.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Peters later portrayed Joseph Sisko on Deep Space Nine.
Oh, yeah. Benjamin's dad.
That's cool. So here's a little synopsis of what happens in Star Trek VI.
Okay.
So basically, Chernobyl happens.
Spoiler warning.
Well, yeah, spoiler warning, but yeah.
Yeah, it's your own fault if it's like 3 decades later you haven't watched it yet.
Well, and plus I don't think these movies you can appreciate them with knowing everything that happens in them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how good they are.
Yeah.
So in this one, basically, it starts off with Chernobyl happening in space, right? And so the Klingons, they decide to make peace with the Federation because of it, because they have an energy star that blows up, and they're weak now, and so they need to kind of they can't afford to have that war anymore. They've kind of lost everything they were depending on.
Yeah, I watched it.
Yeah, I'm
I know.
Here we go. Okay. Wise guy. So tensions are high on the Starship Enterprise, though, and following an uncomfortable dinner between the Klingons and the crew, some shit goes down, and the Enterprise seems to strike. It appears to strike the diplomatic Klingon bird of prey. And not long after, 2 helmeted figures enter the bird of prey and take out Ambassador Gorkin. Kirk and McCoy are framed and sentenced to life imprisonment on a harsh mining planet called Ruapente. Yeah, the movie then becomes a bit of a mystery as Spock and the remaining members of the Enterprise crew try to piece together what really happened on the night that Gorkin was killed. And so Kirk and McCoy end up escaping and return to the Enterprise. It's revealed that the whole attack on the Klingons was a conspiracy carried out by a faction of Federation discontents led by Admiral Cartwright, who played Tom Robinson in To Kill a Mockingbird. The movie ends with Kirk just barely being able to survive, or to being able to save the Federation president's life. Assassins are taken out.
Federation discontents in league with Klingons and Romulan. So I know you're doing your little synopsis exposition here, but in league with Romulan and Klingons, which shows an alliance and working together, which is the whole freaking,
well, I was going to save that for later, but you can
okay, I'm sorry. I skipped ahead.
Okay. No, you can talk about it. I was just right about to finish this. But that's a good, very, very good point. Very good point indeed. The assassins are taken out, the saboteurs are arrested, and reputations are cleared. The next generation is set up as Kirk and the crew of the Enterprise disobey Federation orders for the very last time. And, second star to the right and straight on till morning. And that's the whole thing.
Yeah, I know nothing until Generations.
And so, so go ahead. You want to talk about that?
No, you go.
No,
ahead.
I mean, let's do it now.
Oh, okay,
let's talk about the biggest kind of irony in the whole thing.
The biggest irony is that they don't trust each other, but they trust each other enough to have a 3-species alliance. Between the Romulans, the Klingons,
their hatred brings them together. Their mutual hatred brings them together,
and brings them together to do.
Paradoxically, their greatest enemy is alliance.
A very efficient, a very well planned, and almost foolproof operation. That shows that that in reality they can work together and coexist together.
They could be a well-oiled machine. They all bring something different to the table. Yeah,
except for the Romulans. Romulans are just shit.
You think so? They're kind of just the useless third wheel.
No, they're just I don't know what
dollar store Vulcans.
No. I don't know what analog there is for them, in the real world, but they're always just they're always about themselves. They're about nobody else, and even in only in Discovery, when the Vulcans and the Romulans have to live together on the same planet of Navarre, and they finally reunite, or what do they call it? Not reuniting, but whatever. Because they're the same species. Vulcans and Romulans are just biologically the same species, just like Russians and humans are just only divided by ethnic and geographic.
Russians and humans.
Russians and Americans, I'm sorry, are divided only by ethnic and geographic boundaries.
Right.
The Romulans and the
what would the Romulans be? Was there a third party in the Cold War or anything? Do they have a
That's what I'm trying to say. I can't really.
They probably don't though. I mean, they don't have to.
They're a full-up superpower. So we only had 2 superpowers in the Cold War.
Right.
Because China wasn't quite developed yet. So if you could think of anything, maybe they're the Chinese, but the Chinese weren't as technologically advanced as America and the U.S. back in the 80s and the 90s. That's completely changed now. A lot of people don't realize that China wasn't always the technological superpower that they are right now. It's, so maybe they're more like China in the, 21st century. Yeah, maybe. In 2020s.
Yeah, you could say that.
Yeah. So you're only divided by a couple of decades with that. So that in hindsight, when you look back at all that, now, if you're watching the movie in 2020. You could probably say the Romulans might be the Chinese.
2021?
Yeah, 2021, 2020, doesn't matter.
We're only a few months in, so yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, okay, so maybe they're the Chinese, but because they're a full-up superpower right now.
Yeah.
But they weren't quite the superpower as they were now as when in 1981. They were a threat, though. They were a threat.
Did you like it better when they weren't?
No, because I've always called it. I said, China will be a communist country in government only, but they're going to become a capitalist society that's going to be, they're going to need the rest of the world to buy their products.
So you think the competition's good?
Yeah,
that's what keeps everything going.
I was laughed out of all discussions back in 1991 and early 90s when I said that.
But you yourself are Chinese, so you would know more than anyone, really.
No, people.
Kind of.
It's just like all the what do you call it? All the people set in their opinions and everything. They just couldn't see that China was going to be an industrial, for-profit country, and I saw it because we were already having Chinese products flood the markets along with the Japanese products in the late 80s and the early 90s.
Yeah.
And I saw that it was cheap labor, but, me being, nobody listens to anybody.
Yeah.
And
not enough productive discourse.
I remember getting laughed out of a discussion at work one time because I said China's going to be producing, all the electronics, all our inexpensive textiles, appliances and everything. I said that it's all going to happen in China. And I remember, a couple of people that I'm still friends with to this day, or at least in contact with, saying, "Oh, you're so stupid. That's not going to happen. There's no way that's going to happen." And it's like, heck, that iPhone you're using comes from Shenzhen.
Yeah.
Yeah. All your plugs and all your accessories also come from Shenzhen. Anker, Anker is one of the biggest electronic supply companies. Look at Alibaba.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just it's called it, and I got laughed out of the room.
China's also one of the biggest importers of global pandemics as well.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
Pandemic winter 2020.
Yeah, Wuhan. Yeah, Fluhan. No, but how about this though? Just it doesn't really have anything to do with it, but like. Do you think, like, if China had, like, a less authoritarian government, if they treated their people the way we treat our, people here, do you think it would be, like, another America, basically just, like, a good, nice place to live, just, chill and all that, free? Because, I mean, they have the capitalism, right? They have the economy. They could make a proper, society and everything if they just stopped mistreating the people,
It would be just like how Californians are going to Texas and Florida. New Yorkers are going to, Florida and Texas.
China's a big place too, though. So
yeah, but what would happen is that they would make their here, meaning they would if the government gave the people freedom of speech, if they gave the people free access to all media and things similar like what you're saying to what we have in America, we would have another country that would be torn apart. Eventually, within maybe 20 to 30 decades. I'm calling it right now. Go back to this podcast.
20 to 30 decades or 20 to 30 years?
2 to 3 decades. Excuse me.
Sorry.
2 to 3 decades.
Just making sure.
Yeah, no, you're right. In 2 to 3 decades, you would have.
So it's all a cycle, basically.
It's a cycle. You would have a very liberal side, a very conservative side, and those stuck in the middle. Because as people have freedom to express and everything, freedom, both sides. And I'm not picking a side that's dumb. I'm not saying one side's dumber than the other. You have very extreme thoughts on both sides that are free from any objectivity, and it's just pure emotion, kind of like what's happening in this country right now.
So they start butting heads.
Yeah. They start butting heads, and in a country that size of China, that would
cause like a civil war, maybe.
Yeah, probably a civil war.
But do you think things would regulate after that? So that's just a growing pain.
Yeah, everything regulates, but at what cost? Look at France.
Yeah.
Look at the French Revolution in the 1800s. I mean, they all turned on, they turned on the government, then they turned on each other, and then, they really didn't solve anything. And then, look at Russia. All it was, a battle between the have and have-nots, and then now post-revolution in both countries, the gap still remains. They've solved nothing.
Right.
But
they could, though.
They could. But, and here in China right now, you have a higher standard of living than they have ever had. In the last 30 years, you have elevated people to off the poverty level per capita all across the country. But now you're having a growing middle class.
And they're starting to become kind of self-aware a little
They're
more.
kind of self-aware, but their information is still limited. But
Right.
now, moving out of the village and going to work at the, iPad production line,
Yeah.
used to be a way out of the village, but now the secondary effect of that is that the housing, where you used to be able to have 3 people share an apartment in Shenzhen, now you have 10 people sharing the same apartment, which is 10 times more expensive to rent than it was just 15, 20 years ago.
So now it's growing pains.
And so now you're growing, and you have a government that is spending like a blank check to build all this infrastructure, fantastic highways, fantastic, infrastructure, public infrastructure in China. I've been there. You have highways with gas stations, but nobody's using them because nobody, outside of
like the elite, maybe, who can afford it.
Outside the upper middle class,
Yeah.
And they're actually building a physical paved Silk Road to connect Europe and China.
Right.
That's incredible.
That's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, but you can do that when you have a government that says, "I'm just taking all your money and I'm doing this."
Yeah.
But yet, when that wears off, and I don't have the economic and historical terms in education to talk about it, but I know that eventually, once you start elevating all these people into the middle class, they're going to start wanting more. And then the gap between the middle class and those people in the rural villages is still going to grow too. And if you give everybody free thought and free expression, you're just going to have America all over again.
Oh.
And it's going to be a problem. And then that's when the government can't spend the money on the infrastructure, on their, on their power grid, on their, municipality, power, water, trash, which still sucks in China, by the way.
So what's the solution, or at least the beginning of the
I don't
solution?
know. I don't have the solution. Otherwise,
don't
I'd be running for office.
Yeah.
I just know.
You just think things
I'm
have
a
to
consumer. I just know. I'm a consumer and an observer. I just know what works and doesn't work when I see it.
So you just think things have to take their course, just run their course like anything else?
Yeah. I'm surprised they are where they are right now. It's like I don't feel when I go to China. I don't feel threatened yet.
People are still kind of happy.
Yes, people are friendly. People are kind of happy.
So ignorance is bliss.
Well,
for now.
When I went to China before, it was just people have really completely wrong idea of what's going on in America.
Right.
They think everybody. They think I've had more than one store or shop owner come to me and show me a phone with footage from Seattle and LA.
And they think everything's like that.
And they think the whole country is homeless people and riots.
Mm.
They said, or do you feel safe going back home? Literally, not even kidding.
And do you explain it to them? Do you go like, there's like a Midwest, there's a New England, do you tell them all that? Like there's a Pacific Northwest, do you try to explain it all?
Well, our country's so small compared to the geography of their country.
That's true.
Right?
And, but then you could be analogous about it, though. You could say,
I do. I say, hey, that street right outside the technical park here, and you have a couple of homeless people. The whole city is not like that. Shanghai, is it? And they're like, no. But imagine, just someone just showing you that and telling you that is
because that's all they get. They just get bits and pieces. Yeah.
And that's the discussion I had with one of the shop owners that I was at there recently before the pandemic, and you could see his eyes go, "Oh, I understand that." Yeah. So I said, "That's what you're seeing, because that's all that your government is letting you see." And he's like, he wasn't like, "Oh, I'm going to report you for saying that." Or he's like, he understands it. He is aware that his government is, regulating, what he can consume as far as news.
Do you guys speak in English or Chinese?
English.
Oh, okay. And you can understand pretty well?
Yeah, I can understand because they teach English in school there.
Yeah, but they can speak it and stuff too.
Oh yeah, he speaks very well.
Okay, cool.
Because they can still consume Western
I thought it was
media.
like an elite thing still,
No, they can still consume media and everything like that. They teach themselves English, or they pay attention in school.
Okay. Yeah.
And because it's just good business.
Wait.
I mean, if we really wanted to, do things right, what we would do is instead of
learn Chinese.
Yeah, instead of French, teaching
or
French.
Spanish.
Yeah, we would teach French, offer French and Spanish.
Right, because those are like the major business languages, right?
Exactly,
like economic languages. Yeah. But know that they got all those anti-capitalists or whatever.
No one gonna tell me what to do, America.
Well, that too. Yeah. Both sides.
Yeah.
What's stupid about that though? It's like the Chinese. They don't even have the option to know, to inform themselves about other places accurately, and then we just don't do it. You know what I mean? Like we could, the everyday citizen here could know about China, but they just don't care. You know what I mean? There's just that apathy. So. Kind of sucks, huh? Kind of depressing, isn't it?
Yeah.
That we could know, like, all of us could know how the situation is there or whatever, and like kind of get involved or whatever. But,
Yeah, you would still have your extremists going on.
That's inevitable, though. You
Yeah.
know, as long as you have like the silent majority doing something.
Well,
like anything.
That's my thing. The silent majority is just
they're too complacent
they're too
or
silent.
reluctant.
Yeah, they're too silent.
Well, because that's the thing. You need, a lot of these extremists, they have less inhibitions, and that's what lets them do things. They're not afraid of whatever.
Yeah.
People just, I don't know. But hey, to think about it like this, though, we live in like the best time ever, really, right now, in human history.
What is that?
Don't you think?
Yeah, someone probably said, I don't want to live in a historical time.
Oh, yeah.
I'm done of living in a historical time, referencing 2020.
Yeah.
But here's the funny thing about, let's take it back to Star Trek. Here's the thing about Star Trek is that you have the extremists in the collaborators.
Yeah.
With the Romulans, the Vulcans, and Klingons.
But then they get shit done.
And then you have the middle of the road with just kind of the majority of the cast. But then you don't have, the only one extremist on the other side is Gorkon.
Gorkon, yeah.
Gorkon and Azek Bor,
Like, extreme side is in, like, he really wants peace.
Yeah,
like that
exactly.
Badly, and he's actually willing to do something about it.
Yeah. You got to have your radical warlike, conspiracy guys, and you got to have your radical peaceniks. And it was kind of like, maybe 60-30, you didn't have the big, other than, Spock, Gorkon, and his daughter, you really didn't have a big representation. You had 3 individuals, and
right.
maybe Sarek.
Yeah. Right, exactly. And isn't that kind of accurate, though, to how, like, things are?
Yeah, but you got to have, you
I mean, in like a fundamental story, I guess.
Yeah,
like
but you're missing a group of people. They didn't have any expositionary in the script to say that there are a group of what do you call it?
Like hippies?
No,
peace ralliers or whatever.
Peace ralliers.
Some group or something.
Yeah,
some
exactly.
entity. Yeah, and you think just a few lines would have been enough to like kind of round out the world?
Well, that's in hindsight. It didn't ruin the movie at all.
Right? Yeah.
Didn't make it. This is just us sitting here talking.
It's not necessary for the narrative, but
exactly. And I'm just observing that right now.
Right, and but yeah,
three decades later.
Right, exactly. Well, that's why it's good to rewatch stuff. You can think about it a little more 3-dimensionally, I guess. Because you're away from the movie. Well,
yeah.
You know what I mean? So
absolutely,
you're not distracted by
time and distance.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, so let's start off with an easy one. What would you rate this movie out of 10 and why? Our standard question.
Ooh.
Followed by, of course, where would you rank it? But let's start with the rating.
Oh.
I'll give it a 9. So that's what I'm gonna
do. I'm debating between 9 and 10, but I can't think of any. I'm trying to think of my 10 movies. I haven't even sat there and thought about. 10 movies would probably be like Star Wars: A New Hope.
That's like platinum, yeah. Like best
Jaws,
of the best.
Close Encounters of the Third Kind. The Great Escape.
Is that the football one?
No, The Great Escape is a World War II POW movie.
The French one?
No, it's an American one. I've been trying to get you to watch it for years.
I want to watch. Yeah, it's on my list. I want to watch that one definitely. Seemed good. So,
White Christmas. Those are my 10s.
Well,
you know what? Yeah. This would be. I'm gonna put this in 10. I'm gonna put this as a personal 10. Along with Motion Picture.
Okay,
and Generations.
So those are your 3 Star Wars.
Those are my 3 10s in the Star Trek franchise.
Okay, Star Trek. Yeah, sorry. And then where would you place Undiscovered Country among the 6 original series movies?
Number 2.
Number 2?
Yeah.
And you want to go over your ranking one more time? Because this is the last time we have to do this. So.
Okay, let's see.
Yeah.
Let's see if it...
Because it does change every time a little bit. So yeah,
Motion Picture number 1. Undiscovered Country number 2. Wrath of Khan number 3. Voyage Home number 4. So number 4 is number 4 in the franchise.
There you go.
Number 5 is was it Doc Brown commands a Klingon Star Trek ship.
Yeah, Christopher Lloyd Klingon.
Yeah, or Jim gets a bigger taxi in space. And then
Jim gets a bigger taxi.
Okie dokie.
Oh man.
Jim looks for Genesis in space.
Oh.
And then number 6 would be share me your pain.
Oh yeah. Oh man. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine would be from like greatest to least. So like number one would be Undiscovered Country. Number two would be Wrath of Khan. Number three would be Motion Picture. Number four would be probably the whale one. Number five would be Search for Spock, and then number six would be the brother. Number six would be the Voyage Home for me.
Number six would be the Voyage Home.
It's just boring.
Okay.
You know. Is Voyage Home the one with Cyborg, right?
No, that's Final Frontier.
Oh, Final Frontier, yeah, Final Frontier.
Yeah.
Voyage Home is whale, right?
Voyage Home is the whale.
Yeah, Voyage Home whale. That'd be four because it's.
Then Search was.
Because it's funny.
Yeah, Search was statutory rape on far.
Yeah, that one's second to last for me. That's five.
Yeah.
Because last one's just so. Final Frontier is just so boring. I don't know. It's just not competent at all. Just not competent. There's like a really good scene with like there's potential in it though. There's a good scene with McCoy and his father and everything.
Mm-hmm,
and I wanted to see Kirk's bad memory and everything, and then Cyborg and
you wanted
Spock. That was a really good scene on its own. Yeah, but you don't even need to watch the movie. Just watch that scene, and then you get everything you need out of it. You don't need the stupid dancing bullshit. You don't need discount Tatooine. You don't need what is he like TV actor like. Cyborg, televangelist Cyborg or whatever.
Falcon Crest Cyborg.
And then like the weird demon guy god that they don't even bother to explain. Not that they explain anything else.
Beard makeup.
Yeah, it's just all shitty. It's just shit. It's just not like sometimes something's just shit.
It's a shit show.
Yeah.
It's a shit show.
It really is. Yeah.
And it still smells, and I can't wash it off my shoes.
So how about this? Do you think that Undiscovered Country was a good enough send-off for the original series cast?
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
the era overall, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's a perfect ending to that chapter in Star Trek history.
It's hard to imagine a better final movie than that one.
Yeah, I almost teared up at the end where he's like, he does the Peter Pan line or whatever. He's like,
yeah.
Straight on till morning, yeah. And it's funny too because they've made that line more associated with Star Trek than the original thing that it was from. Yeah, so that's the power of it. I think that was like, I don't know. I really like this movie. It's a shame that the other ones that it draws on, the whole Star Trek's, or like Kirk's son and everything. Like it's a shame that those movies couldn't be as good, because if you take all six of them as like a complete work overall, like you would Star Wars, the original trilogy, if like each movie in that trilogy is like part of a 3-act play, a separate act in a 3-act play. If you take each act in this, each installment in this as, even though they are kind of standalone, if you took them as an overall work, an individual act in a larger 6-act play, let's say. It's like it has a great finale. It goes out with a bang, but there are just a lot of kind of blank spot spaces in between. There are good moments throughout every single thing, just like with Star Wars. Phantom Menace is saved by the Duel of the Fates. That redeems the movie. It's like the only reason you would watch it ever again.
Chapter 11. I only watch that. I watch nothing else.
Same with with this. If you ever feel the need to pop in Star Trek, Voyage Home or Final Frontier, just watch that scene with McCoy and his dad and everything, and that's a great scene in and of itself. Also the scenes where they're trying to break out too.
If the rest of the movie was like that scene, fantastic.
Because Star Trek, Star Trek V has some of the best like interactions between the three main characters. Yeah, like it's that like kind of.
I actually like the camping scenes too.
That buddy comedy, the trio, the camping. Yeah, camping. Completely forgot about that too. Great scenes. You just watch all those and then you put in another disc or something. Same with and then this one though. But this one, I feel like if you start watching it, you can't stop watching it. Almost.
Oh, Undiscovered Country.
It's pretty. It's one of those good ones. It's tight narrative. It's perfect all throughout.
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
I'm definitely doubling down on my 10 rating on that one.
Yeah, it's pretty damn good. So I would give it a 9. The only reason I don't give it a 10 is because I didn't grow up with Star Trek. And I'm not going to pretend like I grew up with it or anything. So there is still that distance. But I am very, very interested in watching the original series now. I'm in it. Yeah, I like the world. I do.
You're in it to finish.
Yeah. And honestly, I have a feeling that the lower budget and stuff like that will make it less. They'll make them less distracted from just storytelling.
Yeah, it's pure storytelling.
Yeah,
it's pure storytelling
exactly.
In the original,
it elevates everything else. Yeah, you don't need to worry about. But I think maybe one of the problems with the Star Trek movies at first was that they had to worry about budgets. It's like when you go from doing something one way for so long, then you have to go to doing it like a completely other way. You get this completely alien. Factor of having a huge budget. There's a lot of pressure and stuff that goes on that too, and it's like making a movie is completely different from making a show, especially a show like Star Trek, which is again low budget to begin with, and it's kind of less stakes. You can play around, you can afford to do those storytelling things. But when there's a studio exec on your ass about setting a fire to your ass or whatever, trying to get you to do certain things. It's like you kind of get these mangled up messes. They aren't creative visions the way that you only get a Star Wars every once in a while. Where the person, it's just a creative vision, pretty uninterrupted. Just go wild, go nuts, and do whatever you want. That's kind of what I see here.
Okay.
But Star Trek 6 comes close to that. It comes close to being a fully realized vision.
It's got
and so does the motion
everybody.
picture.
Yeah.
The motion picture just isn't edited properly, I don't think.
I've heard that argument before.
That's kind of how I see. I just think there are too many long tracking shots. But those are good for people who like them. But
and that's what I liked about it.
But I think if they maybe they played around with that a little more.
Yeah.
Refined it just a little more. People wouldn't even talk about it. And it's so stupid. That's the only reason people don't like that one as much, just because of that one thing. People have weird reasons for hating things, but I think that movie's perfectly fine.
You haven't even watched the director's cut yet with the replaced CGI.
I haven't. No.
Yeah, it's back in your.
But when I watched the regular cut or whatever, I thought there were maybe 10 to 15 minutes too many of just those long shots.
I sit there and I'm enjoying it, and I recognize that the space dock scene goes on for way too long.
That's great, yeah, and and that would be good if it was a director's or extended cut.
Yeah, and the Beecher scene goes on for way too long too.
Yeah,
which is the opposite. The normal problem that they usually have. They usually don't have the budget for those special effects shots are thousands of dollars a second.
Yeah.
And motion pictures full of them. And usually in sci-fi movies, you can't have those long special effects shots because they cost so much money. And yet Star Trek the Motion Picture is just filled with expensive special effects shots.
Right.
And to me, it was worth it. But, to other people like you don't care for them.
Right, because it's just not my, it's not my passion.
That's what you think.
Because, these franchises are very versatile, they're very diverse. They're very, there are so many different ways to appreciate them. And maybe I just don't appreciate the technical stuff as much. But, it's definitely that's one of the main things. That's what people do, They spend hours poring over, enterprise plans and stuff. It's a big deal for a lot of people.
I'm feeling attacked right now.
No, I'm saying it's a good thing, But yeah, man, I honestly feel like Star Trek: The Motion Picture, it should have been the second to last movie. To have that and then to follow it up with this, that would have been great. And that actually reminds me of something. Let's try to if you would recommend people to watch it, the order to watch the 6 Star Trek movies in, not necessarily in order of release, but what would your order be?
Oh,
and you have to think about it, I guess, different ways. You could think about it. From a non-fan? Yeah, go ahead.
From a non-fan, I would go Undiscovered Country first, Wrath of Khan, and then Motion Picture.
Yeah. And then
then the rest is just noise. It's it doesn't. Yeah. The rest is just is such a shit show. You just can watch them in any order.
I was going to say the exact same thing.
But you have to do Search for Spock. But Search for Spock has to go before Voyage Home.
Yeah.
Because that's the only two that need to be seen in that order.
Yeah, because you
find Spock,
that thematic cohesion or whatever.
Exactly.
You need that.
And there's enough. There's enough footage, recycled footage from Search for Spock that comes from Wrath of Khan that if you don't know Star Trek, you can go, oh, somebody died. Yeah. They're going to go find him. He's reanimated. Yeah. Oh, hold on a second.
Sure. So you did the non-fan ranking. I'll do I agree with your ranking, so it's fine. I agree with that. I think, but in a purer sense, I guess, because that's recommending it to a normie who might not like it. What I mean? Right. So let's remove that factor. I agree with that's a perfect ranking for that. But let's do a ranking for just pure Star Trek the art itself, I guess. What is the most artistically productive order to do it in? I'll say mine, and then you can debate with me on this. I think what does this 6? What would you say? It's not a pentology. What comes after a septology?
Septology, yeah, probably
6 series. It might be 7. 6 film series. Let me look it up. Pentology. What comes after pentology?
Quadrilogy is 4.
Oh, sexology or hexology?
Sexology.
I'll say hexology. Okay, so
hexology. That's not 8.
No, I guess not. So the original.
Hexagon. Okay, yeah.
The original Star Wars hexology, right?
Yeah.
I would do like the most productive. I don't know what I would put first. It would be the reverse of basically the one that we just did. So mine would basically be from last to first, I guess. We'll do last to first. The one you should watch last is, of course, Undiscovered Country.
Mm-hmm.
The one you should watch before that, Motion Picture, because it's quiet. It's kind of like it's a spiritual send off before you get the story send off, I guess. To me,
okay.
you know what I mean? That to me is like an aesthetic send off for Star Trek. You could see Motion Picture as that because it's quiet, it's contemplative. It kind of takes on that more philosophical aspect of what made the show so good.
Okay.
Whereas 6 is just that's what makes the storytelling of it. That was the number one thing for the series was the original series was just how good the stories were. So it makes sense that you would end the entire thing with a tightly woven narrative.
Okay.
That gets all the themes and everything right. But yeah, I would do from backwards. I would do 6. So you should watch 6 last, 5 before that. 6 last, 1 before that. 2 Wrath of Khan after that. And then I honestly don't know what you would watch first. I guess just to say, if we're going to do it artistically productively, I guess just get all the bad stuff out of the way first, so then you can enjoy the good stuff. It's like kind of eating your peas before you take on the dessert.
Yeah.
So I would probably do So probably after that. Oh God, this is tough though because it's like which one's worse than the other. Really. I would say probably honestly start with Final Frontier. Start with Final Frontier and then do because it's just not a very good story, is it? It's just not very. No. It's just not very competent, right? So get that out of the way, and then do God, this is tough. See, then do Search for Spock, and then do the Whale one, and then that's a perfect lead in into the good Star Wars or Star Trek films. So my ranking overall would be from start, from watch this first to watch this last. First to last, watch. Let me think of the numbers real quick. It's kind of tough, because they're like 6. Oh God, I'm forgetting. 5, 3, 4, 1, 4, 2, 1, 6. That's my order to watch in.
Okay.
For like the perfect, I guess, Star Trek experience.
Yeah, I would just reverse my list.
You think so?
Yeah.
So how does that sound to you, though? Do you agree with that?
Mm-hmm. If I understand what you're trying to get to end on a, to have a good finish.
Right.
Yeah, to have a good finish. Yeah, I would. That's how I would watch it.
Yeah. Although, you know what? To be fair, I mean, like the way they were released isn't like awful or anything. It's just, you kind of have to grit your teeth and bear it through some of them.
It just is what it is.
But if you want to be one of those, because some people, they that's how they geek out is they like to kind of rearrange things and like have like perfect combinations and stuff.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
like
it's just like the Star Wars list.
It's like watching Babylon 5 or how they have like, don't watch it in order, watch it in this order.
Well, just like Machete's Star Wars.
Or Prisoner 601 or like a bunch of different things.
You've heard about David Trejo's How to Watch Star Wars, and
he did a ranking?
Yeah, he did a ranking. So Google that.
Okay, I will after the recording. Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Huh.
That was a big thing for a while.
Yeah, I didn't know that people.
This is a perfect way to watch Star Wars.
So the original series and original trilogy and prequel trilogy, or is it just?
The prequels weren't in yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Huh. I didn't know that people like.
No, not the sequels. It was how to watch.
So it's 1 through 6.
Yeah, it's 1 through 6.
Okay. Huh. Yeah.
Machetes.
That might be a nice little experiment to take on someday. I don't know. That's weird. I never would have thought. See, I never would have thought that people would have done that with Star Wars, though, because Star Wars is very much like one kind of story. I mean, between the prequels and the original trilogy, though, I could see that maybe being a thing. Because I would definitely say probably watch Phantom Menace last, or something. Man.
There's a Wired. This is back in 2012.
Oh, okay.
There was a Machete order, the new way to watch Star Wars.
Pre-Disney.
Yeah, pre-Disney.
Okay. Simpler times, huh?
And
that was when Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic was making a comeback with the MMORPG, and you had all the books and everything. Like it was really good for EU. It was really good. Early 2010s, early to mid 2010s were very good for the EU.
So here's the list. It's,
and then 2016, 2015 comes around, fucks everything.
Oh, I know. New Hope, Empire Strikes Back. Then you skip to Attack of the Clones.
Huh.
Then you go to Revenge of the Sith, and then you go to Return of the Jedi.
That makes sense.
And then no Phantom Menace at all.
Really?
Which kind of
no, I don't know.
Which kind of gets rid of the.
They should just put it and just say just watch.
Because that eliminates.
That takes out a lot.
That eliminates Jar Jar and Jake Lloyd.
Eh.
This is pod racing.
Oh God.
You know, so that was their list.
I like the pod racing scenes though. That's not the worst part of the movie. But in any case, they should have just put it on there and said, watch the Duel of the Fates alone. Like, just watch that.
Yeah.
They should have just said that in parentheses, only watch the Maul, Kenobi, Jin fight.
Yeah. So, and I made a mistake. It's not associated with Danny Trejo. That probably just got, what do you call it? Got polluted.
Mixed up with something else. Yeah. Oh yeah. So what about this? This is another big question for this movie, Star Trek Undiscovered Country, right?
Yeah.
Let's do this one. This is the big question. Big one. I've been waiting for a while.
Big question.
I want to know if you think that this movie is a good Cold War allegory.
Oh, absolutely.
Does it capture the essence of like what it was?
Yeah, you would
have the fall of the Berlin Wall and everything.
Yeah, you would have to be, basically the modern equivalent of just a.
Take down that wall. I say, take down that wall.
You'd have to be so out of touch
take down that wall
to not see the what do you call it, the comparison.
But this is a much better. It's a much better allegory than in the whale one, I think, though. It's less transparent.
Well, yeah, it's less beating your head, beating it over your head with it.
And that's what makes it work, and that's where you can have that like socio-political commentary,
right?
Because you have to earn it though. You have to be subtle, It's like you said earlier. It's like you can't have your audience feel like they're being lectured to.
Exactly.
It can't be like a sermon. It has to be a piece of entertainment.
No, yeah, you're watching a story unfold, and then only as you're watching it later, you're like, oh, here's the compare. I need to just get that out of the way.
Oh, you're gonna put it back?
Yeah, no, just leave the iPad there.
Okay.
Unlike Voyage Home, where it's like, oh, this is a whale message Greenpeace movie.
So you see that now?
Yeah. Oh no, I've always seen it.
Yeah, but you still stand with the cause, though.
Yeah, it didn't bother me.
Yeah, but this is it's better because you have instead of a nuclear reactor, it's not like they had a nuclear reactor; they had an energy star. So it's futuristic. You have the whistles. Yeah, I mean you have this. It's also, I think the problem with that one too is that it was like a comedy too. It was like a summer flick, and so maybe like the tone just like clashed a bit too much too.
I found it perfectly fine.
If you're gonna have something serious and then you're gonna have like this kind of goofy ass like summer flick, like Kirk and pals go back in time. Ooh, hijinks ensue. I don't know what money is. Is $100 a lot in your Terran, whatever. It's like that whole thing.
It'll be a gift again.
It's a lot of. It's that those parts are fun, but then. You can't have the fun. You can't like completely have fun because then you got to be reminded of the realities of whale shit. And it just makes you feel like you've been gypped a little bit. It's like I don't know. It's like getting a
didn't bother me.
It's like getting a free chocolate bar, but then you have to like sit through a 20-minute timeshare presentation or some shit or something. You know what I mean? Or like getting like a room for like getting a timeshare for like a month, but you have to sit through presentations every single day of your trip there. Like in that. Have you ever seen that South Park episode, Aspen, with like 2 A's, I think, or 2 S's? No. Aspen, where they go to Aspen, but then they get caught up in this timeshare loop. It's pretty funny. It's actually a really good one. But it's kind of like that to me. That's kind of how
that sounds pretty realistic to me.
A little manipulative though, a little underhanded. I mean, it's not a big deal, Again, Star Trek 4 is it's minor. Again, it's a fun little summer flick, and I like it for that. But it just the whale shit takes away from it. It's like why you could have made it a little subtler, I think. And also, in that one, too, it's like it's way too centric to the narrative. It's like nothing else happens. Like, there are so many possible... That's a perfect playground, like a sci-fi playground. It's like they go back in time. You could meditate on all the different possibilities, like the consequences of that.
Did you know that there was a scene...
Do they have an extended cut?
No, but there's that scene where they go, how would we find out where Alameda is, or how do we find out where, the plexiglass places where they go, oh, hey, let your fingers do the walking, and there's a scene with the yellow pages painted on the phone book ad painted on the wall.
Oh, yeah?
But if you look down that alley, there's a bunch of Asian kids playing. That scene was supposed to be Sulu meeting his grandfather.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, they should have done shit like that.
Yeah, and they cut it out.
That would have been cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so there was some... Yeah, I was about to say there was supposed to be something with that, because Sulu's like, I got to go real quick, guys. Or something. He leaves. Nothing ever happens.
Yeah,
so.
they filmed it, and they didn't... I haven't seen footage of it yet.
God damn, they should have done that. That would have been cool.
Yeah.
See? they could have made a really like poignant kind of fun little movie that's like very kind of not bittersweet, but like charming, endearing,
No.
But they fucked it up, I think, because they just made everything about the whale. It's like there's so many other things you could have done in the world, and then added whale.
Who did 4?
Stuff.
Was that Harv Bennett or?
You know what? Like who directed it, or
Yeah.
Might have been it. Yeah, it might have not been Nicholas Meyer. That might have been a problem. Because Nicholas Meyer, he screenwrote the other ones and everything.
The Nicholas Meyers are all good ones.
Yeah. I think that might be the issue, honestly. Star Trek 4. Oh, you see, when you look up Star Trek 4, it gives you, like, the other universe now, too. This one was produced by Harv Bennett, but it was directed by Nimoy, so.
Oh, that's right. It was Nimoy. Yeah.
But he also wrote the story, too, Bennett. He co-wrote it with Myers.
Okay.
With, I think, right? Yeah, Nicholas Meyer, not Myers. And the problem I think with that too is that they're guess how many screenplay writers there were? Screenwriters?
1 billion.
4.
Oh.
Yeah, that's never good. I mean, not never, but that would explain why it's kind of contradictory to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A little uneven at times. What about this though? So I don't know. I feel like the good thing about it's like I feel very zen about Star Trek 6. You know what I mean? I mean. In the sense that, like, just like how with Star Trek 5, it's so bad that there's really nothing you can say about it. With Star Trek 6, it's so good that I don't really even have anything to say about it.
I agree.
It tells itself. It's
that's
all
exactly
right there.
what I said, too.
Yeah.
It's like, you heard me. I can't pick it apart for anything.
Yeah. But let's do it anyway, What are some general pros, that you could take away from 6? The best things, the highlights, let's say. And this includes best scenes, best moments.
Best scenes is where you basically see a Klingon Katanga class cruiser next to Constitution class, Federation ship.
Right.
When Kirk says we've never been this close before, that's the equivalent of having a U.S. warship next to a Russian warship.
So it's a big deal. Yeah,
it's a huge.
And
deal.
you felt that with the allegory.
And it was a very, very, it's like I wasn't even thinking Russians and Americans at that point when I saw that in the movie theater. I was just like, holy crap, this is a huge moment.
Because it's a big moment in the Star Trek universe as well, so it works on multiple levels.
Yeah, and artistically, just to see those two in formation next to each other cruising along, that was my, like...
It's really cool.
Yeah. My got tingles all over down my spine and everything. That was huge,
Yeah.
Those are the good pros for me. Just the character, the artistic design, the artistic direction, and they've had the benefit now of however many seasons of Next Generation to go off of with the Klingon costumes.
Right.
They didn't seem stupid like they were.
So they finally fixed it here.
Yeah.
They finally got their footing.
Klingon uniforms and everything. You got to see inside of the Klingon battlecruiser also.
And that was pretty cool.
Yeah. With Gorkon and Brigadier Kern and all the other guys just sitting there, just having a post dinner drink.
Yeah.
When the Federation guys,
you get to see them in their quiet hours.
Yeah. I mean, you got to see, behind the Iron Curtain.
Yeah.
At that point, so that was really good.
And that's a big deal because you, the audience, are experiencing it at the same time that the characters are as well, like the crew of the Enterprise and everything. Like, so you feel more connected to them too because this is like it's meaningful for them. It's a big deal for them. It's also a big deal for you because the pacing and everything, the timing, it's all perfectly done. It all perfectly corresponds.
Yep.
Yeah. I would say, the best thing about this movie for me is just the significance of the movie's thesis, about, I think how, just that message of unity and everything. You don't need to, it's probably better if you lived through the Cold War, but you don't even need to understand it in order to watch it. In fact, watching this will help you better understand the Cold War, so it's a very productive movie in that sense. And it has real lasting staying power, just like Wrath of Khan. Those are the 2 original series films that have the most staying power to me. Personally, that's how I feel about both of those 2.
You can get people interested in history
through this.
Yeah, through this. Yeah. What do you think? I saw something floating around in.
Take down that wall.
I saw something floating around.
I can't do Reagan voice.
I saw something floating around back in the in the mid to late '90s on the Usenet groups and the bulletin boards, BBSs.
Are those fun or?
Yeah, it was just basically
you have a password and you come on.
You log on, listen to your modem and everything. They said, "What if they killed the wrong Kirk? They killed Martius. They killed the real Kirk on Ruo Pente, and basically Kirk is Iman's Martius shapeshifter character living as him for the rest of through generations and everything else.
Oh man, damn, I don't know.
See,
you'd have to be a pretty good actor to do that.
Yeah. But then why?
Yeah, why would she?
Why would she do that?
No, but I mean, obviously,
that's kind of where the fan daydreaming kind of fell apart. It's like, why would she care? Why would she rescue? Why would she go to what planet? See,
the Federation planet. Isn't it Earth or is it?
They're the one that's near the Romulan, where they have
one where they have the council or whatever, right? The summit.
Yeah, the summit. Yeah. Why would they go there? Why would he put himself at risk for all this if it really was the shapeshifter?
Yeah, I mean, like it's a funny kind of idea, but it makes no sense at all.
Then it kind of falls apart.
No, I mean, because like in the scene immediately,
she would just change into somebody else and then like disappear.
Well, it's hard for her to do that too. To keep it up all the time.
Exactly.
Well, anyway, in the scene that comes immediately after that, it's like she knows all the shit that only Kirk could know anyway. You know what I mean? He clearly demonstrates like a knowledge of. He clearly demonstrates a knowledge of the captain, the ship, and everything that's going on, the situation. It's just. But that is a funny idea, but it has no weight. I don't think has absolutely no bearing.
It falls apart really quick.
Yeah, but it's a good one.
This is Ash Wednesday for people listening, and I'm already starving at 8:00 in the morning, and I only have one meal.
Yeah. So general cons. Do you have any cons? Do you have anything you didn't like?
No, can't think of one right now at all.
Well, I will say this: it didn't ruin the movie for me by any means or anything, but there were just a few kind of tropey elements to the writing that I didn't like too much. Oh, the fridge is open, by the way. Let me close it. Tropes. Let me see what I put in my notes here. I thought that for a movie like this, you could have a lot more nuance. Not that they didn't have enough. Like they had enough for what it was, but maybe just a few slight changes could have made it a bit elevated a bit more. Maybe.
Okay.
Like I don't know. To me anyway, the writing can seem a bit obvious at times. Like maybe with Marcia, for example, the shapeshifter.
Martia.
Martia. I don't like how, right when she gets to when she shapeshifts and it's like the two Kirks fighting. I feel like her transition to bad guy, full on baddie was way too quick. Just a complete 180 because the script needed it to be. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like you should have dropped a few hints here and there that she was a bit ambiguous, a bit kind of difficult to trust. I don't know. Because up until that point, she just it's too uneven. It's too kind of bipolar for me. She's too nice. There's no even McCoy. I don't even think McCoy says are you sure you trust her or anything? They don't even do that whole thing like that. If they had just done that would have been fine. But it doesn't matter to me really. It doesn't make much of a difference. But it's I noticed it when I watched the movie. It's she goes just like that.
She didn't for me. You know why? Because
she was planning it the entire time. But I mean,
because I go, she's way too nice. She's she's trying to get it. See, to me, as a 23-year-old or whatever, when I was seeing it, I was like, oh, she's way too nice. She's good. She's running a different angle. I saw that right away.
Yeah.
Why would she want to help him? That whole exposition here. I leave you. You're my ticket out of here. Blah blah. I know you have a starship. That's why I'm being nice. I was like, no, there's something more going on there.
I don't know. I thought it would have been kind of clever, and this is just me personally. Again, it's I think it would have been more clever if she was presented herself as more honest and pragmatic. It's just hey, I know that we're in this tough situation. I can do this for you, but you got to do something for me. Kind of been
well, no, she said that. She pretty much said that.
But played up on that just a little more for me.
Okay.
Just a few more lines of dialogue. I don't know, something.
All right.
And I don't know. I mean, there were a few things I thought it would have been cool, the fight scene with the big alien or whatever. That would have been a bit if they'd done it just a little differently, it would have been a bit cooler. It felt kind of a typical I don't know 80s action to me or something If they it could have been, it was filler, but if they had done it just a little more, it would have been oh, that's pretty cool. It's kind of neat, Instead of just being okay, it's just 5 minutes of screen time and then we move on to something else. Just little things like that, Could it, how in Star Wars, it's every single scene, Star Wars, the original Star Wars, before Star Wars became A New Hope, Star Wars 1, 4, whatever. I mean, I guess people don't have a problem with that anymore,
Star Wars 78.
It's not like people ever, I don't know. But yeah, it's how in A New Hope. Every scene is meaningful. Even when they show you all the different aliens at the cantina and stuff, that's fleshing out the world. Yeah. And that's a very memorable scene to me, even though nothing happens in it. The music, the aesthetic, everything. That's one of my favorite scenes, just showing all the aliens drinking and like the
Yeah.
weird ones, the gross ones, like
Yeah.
you know, like that's
Yeah.
cool. That's really cool.
That was why it succeeded.
And then this shit's just like dumb alien. Oh, go fight the alien. And it's just kind of I don't know. It doesn't have the same weight. And maybe it's just because I've seen things that are maybe it's unfair to compare the two because that is like a lightning in a bottle type movie, Star Wars one, and this is just this is it's different apples and oranges maybe at that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that scene could have been cool.
Okay.
A bit cool.
Yeah, but then you'd have to have production go in with multiple alien costumes. You'd have to build that whole set.
Well, and that's just me being kind of spoiled, so I don't know, spoiled consumer, I guess, but it's like, you can tell when there's a vision and you can tell when there's something that's just kind of being made to kind of fulfill a purpose, kind of just tend to be mechanical, I guess, and that's kind of how that scene felt to me. I mean, you know what I mean, though?
Yeah.
Well, and then another thing I had, too, it's like, I thought, personally, I know that this is tough. This is a tough thing for a lot of fans to swallow, but I thought it would have been cool if they could have taken Kirk's prejudice against the Klingons like even further and made it like a whole complex thing, and maybe even end it with him not fully resolving it. Maybe having it like just be like a thing that he has to like kind of live with for the rest of his life.
I think
because it
was too tidy.
Yeah, because if they're trying to go for like this is like a military man of his generation or whatever, it's like to make it more realistic, I guess more analogous to real life. It's like I don't know, you have like Korean War veterans and stuff who, they're a certain way. You know what I mean?
Hollywood. They can't. It
has to be sanitized.
Yeah, and it's too risky. Think about the wokeness in the SJW today. If you into that with Kirk going, I still don't trust him. I'm done with them. Let the diplomats and let the bureaucrats take care of it from here.
That would have made it much more complex.
It would have made it more real,
and it would have made it more. It would have even made it a bit more noble too, because then like he still doesn't like them, but he recognizes that
he's going to step aside.
He's going to do the right thing.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
See, so that would have been, and then it also would have helped to fill out the universe.
That
too.
would have been a better message, but that would have angered so many people.
It would have, yeah. And that's the thing. It's like I wonder if
I still hate him, but I know the right thing to do is to. Have them join the federation and we all become one federation together. I know that's the right thing to do, but I'm not going to do it. But I'm not going to like it while I do it. Yeah, that shows a person who's doing the right thing. Right. We can't have that because he has to feel. He has to. He has to have feelings in hallways.
Yeah, feelings in hallways. Yeah.
He has to feel like they're all one big happy family now.
Yeah,
because that's the way it has to end.
It is a bit like that. He has to kind of convert to like the religion or the faith of cultural acceptance or whatever.
We're going to destroy you.
Yeah, yeah. And I just think that other like having him have his bias or whatever kind of flushes out the universe overall too, because it's like he is just. He is not the center of the universe. That's something that I don't like. Like it always has to be a Kirk thing. It always has to be a Spock thing, or especially these days with like New Trek or whatever.
Oh my God.
So gimmicky. It's like no.
Let's.
That's not the point at all.
It's so cringy when they have Ethan Peck come in and do Spock.
Yeah.
It's like you don't need Spock.
No. Because they're just members of one ship in a much larger world, a much larger organization, and everything. Like they're pretty good. They are exemplary in certain aspects, but that's what they are. They're just one crew, one of many.
That's the one thing that Lower Decks gets right. We don't have anybody from the existing universes.
Yeah.
Because you don't need it to have a good story.
It's just a shame that that's a shit show too.
I've only watched like half of the first episode. I haven't finished any. I didn't think it was bad. I didn't think it was great.
It's just nothing like Star Trek, though, is it? I mean, except for that one aspect, but it's really nothing like Star Trek. It's like Rick and Morty or some shit.
It is.
And it's funny too. Rick and Morty is a ripoff of everything. It's a parody of all sci-fi stuff. So now it's parodying parody. I don't know.
I would counter some that you should watch a little bit because it's very self-aware and it's making fun of itself.
I might give it a try, but
it actually has a lot of fan references to toys. And it's like.
Seems so woke though, it just seems so woke. I can't take the woke.
It's a little bit.
I can't. It's all about the strong. I don't even want to get into it. It's not even worth it. But yeah, I'll try an episode or two.
What did we say in the last one where we got in an argument?
I'll try an episode or two.
Don't have an opinion.
I'm not going to write it off.
When you haven't experienced it yourself.
I won't. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Believe me, I know. Yes, I know. Thank you. But
you may end up going, "Oh, this is so funny."
I might like it. Yeah.
They're making so much fun of themselves.
Yeah, maybe. You never know. But God, I mean, it's like Kirk doesn't have to become space Jesus or anything. He doesn't. He could just be. he could be he could have his bias and everything, and that again that kind of it emphasizes the more positive aspects of his personality if they did that,
Right.
and it ends with him giving up to the diplomats, and that makes sense within the universe too. It's like the diplomats are the one who handled the big political issues anyway. They're the ones who need to give a shit, or at least pretend to give a shit.
Right.
It's like Kirk is he is just a captain. He is just a captain. He can have his biases or whatever. It's like, I don't know. It's like a Hemingway. It's like
no, Kirk is not just a captain. He is the captain.
He is the captain.
Yeah, everybody knows him cross.
That's true. Yeah.
Species. Hey, remember, only Nixon can go to China.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That was a very
a
very apt line. It's like Kirk's just a captain. He is. Everybody knows him. The Klingons know him. Kids in grade school know him.
That's true, but wouldn't it make it more meaningful if it turned out that he had this dark side that just a little bit of a dark side,
a human side
that could be a fallible side, let's say. Yeah,
I agree with you.
Just so many possibilities there, and maybe they do it in like a novelization or something, but I don't know. It's like, damn, would have been cool, but I get why they didn't do it. Obviously, it's too much envelope pushing and too much in the wrong direction, let's say, as well.
Sure.
Not the right kind of story to tell in Hollywood, which sucks. But but yeah, maybe at the same time, maybe I'm only saying that because I don't have as much attachment to the franchise as other franchises. Maybe I'm able to be more objective about it. It might have pissed off a lot of people. I don't know. I mean, you see what people get pissed off about. It's like, imagine something as, I guess, radical as that. But it would make sense to me. I mean, it's it's like with Hemingway protagonists. It's like a lot of them aren't very likable, but you can take away something from them. You can learn something from them. It makes you think, I guess. It's like this could have made you think too. Doesn't always have to be pleasant.
You can't make Kirk into something like that.
Yeah. Art always doesn't have to be comfortable. But it didn't have to go that far. But it could have had little echoes or tones of that, is what I'm trying to say. You know what I mean? More in that direction than the direction that they went in. But I perfectly understand why they went in the direction they did. And I'm happy with it. I'm just saying that I saw another movie in there maybe, or another kind of story in there maybe.
Sure.
Maybe that's just me. So, My favorite scenes, though, if I had to single out a few, I liked the dinner sequence a lot. I thought it was pretty
fun.
Yeah,
that's clever.
Good balance of humor and, dramatic tension.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Gorkin's death was very impactful to me.
Okay.
I like the whole sequence. I like the effects, and I like the little globs of, the
Pepto-Bismol blood, yeah. You know why they did that, right?
Why?
Because there's going to be an R rating if...
Yeah. They had to make it a different color.
They had to make it a different color.
Yeah. I like the Klingon trial as well. I like the set. That
was good.
The set for the trial and everything. I like Ruapenta. Remember Ruapente?
Ruapente, yeah.
In Alaska, too, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That was interesting. I like the ending with the iconic quote from Peter Pan. It's probably my favorite Star Trek moment, honestly. If I had to pick a single moment, that's my favorite moment. Because it's so iconically delivered that, again, more people associated with Star Trek instead of Peter Pan, which actually comes from. Yeah. So that is a very powerful scene, and it earns it, Some of my least favorites, though, I would say, again, just the fight scene between Kirk and, fake Kirk, Martia shape-shifting as Kirk. I just thought it was a little corny. It's like, I'm old, I'm middle-aged William Shatner. I have to fight myself. You're going to fight me. I'm going to fight you. And it's just like they're cracking too many jokes. It's funny, but it's like, out of all the scenes, that movie...
Takes away from it.
That would belong in Star Trek 4, not 6, which is about, this sort of Cold War allegory.
Just throw all the bad stuff into 5.
Into 5, yeah. But...
see, if you throw all the bad stuff from all the movies into 5, it actually may become the best movie.
So 5 is the dumping ground because it's just so ridiculous at that point?
Yeah, then it becomes so bad it's good.
Yeah.
See? Yeah.
Have all the cringe from everything else? Yeah. That has to be a new cut.
Yeah.
Oh, man. The toilet cut. But I like that. It just felt a little contrived, though, just a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Just, gotta fight. We gotta circle around in there. God, stupid as hell. God, felt a bit obligatory. It's like we've got to have a scene where the fans, you got to do some fan service, but it's like weird fan service. It's not even it's like
sure.
I don't know. There are ones where you have the alternate universe goatee, all the goatee versions, like a goatee Spock. Remember from Mirror and stuff like that. That's really cool.
And you have yet to actually see Mirror.
Yeah. But I know of its eminence or whatever, yeah.
Really good.
Seems like they did a better job in that episode than they did with this stupid Kirk. versus Kirk, and also it just doesn't make sense. Like, why is Marcia acting like Kirk? Like, how would she even know enough about him to act like him too? Because she acts like him.
She swapped DNA. There's blood memory there.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay.
There's saliva memory there.
Well, if that's the case, then
she could have
escaped a long time ago. If that's the case,
that's true.
Yeah, but that's so bad. I know it's not really bad, but it's just compared to everything else in the movie. If I did complain about one thing, that's the one thing I would complain about. Because I don't know. But yeah, anything you'd change about the movie?
Nope.
I would just flesh out certain parts of the script a little more, and probably if I could do it, I would take that risk with Kirk. If I could find a way to pull it off, naturally, I would take that big risk with Kirk. Because it's like, it makes sense. I don't know, it just makes perfect sense. It's like you lose your kid, you get fucked over once. It's like, and if you're a military, man too, you're likely to be very principled, and human beings are only, they can only do so much. Sometimes you're principled about the wrong kind of thing or whatever, or it's something that only means something to you. It's like you can't be this space Jesus all the time. You can't be like King Arthur of the, of outer space. You can't be of the Milky Way or whatever. I don't know. That's kind of how it seems to me, though. It's like he's like the big hero. He really is the hero that everybody says he is. And that's fine, but it's
it can't be subtle in 2 hours.
He could still be that hero. It's just it could be a little more nuanced.
One thing that did come up to me while you're talking about that was because you said something that seemed forced for the fans. It was Kirk's. Sulu has his own command now, which I think we really need to see more of. So that's a.
That would have been cool.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think that probably would have taken away from the story. That would have just been for me.
If it was like a 3-hour movie, you could have definitely had some scenes like that.
But when Kirk goes, when Kirk corrects Scotty or somebody and goes, "That's Captain Sulu,"
Oh yeah.
It seems forced.
You know? So?
Yeah.
Like we got to call it. We already know it's there. You don't have to call attention to it even more.
Yeah. It was very respectful, but it was just.
But they wanted to say that, so they would.
But where did all this respect from Sulu just come from when he was so dismissive about him?
He wasn't even really like in it.
Yeah,
before,
exactly. And it's just like it's like what they were talking about Discovery. It's like you don't have all this build up to a relationship like that. And then suddenly, it's just like, Kirk, is in awe of Sulu or very respectful of him, where he doesn't even respect the admirals,
Right, yeah. But it's one of those things.
So it's like, that struck me in 91 as kind of, what's going on there? Yeah. But I think there are more lines that they didn't have to, that they cut, so we didn't see it.
Yeah. Well, so I think we've pretty much covered everything there is to cover, right? But I want to end by asking you, 2 questions. First, has your opinion or understanding of this movie changed since the start of the conversation?
Nope.
No? Was it fun, though, to have this conversation?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah?
Was this a good episode, do you think?
I don't know. I don't think I had much to bring to this episode, except just saying, It
was fun, though.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Absolutely. But what about, last question, though? So this is the big one. How is watching it now in 2021 compared to watching it in 91 when it came out?
Just as impactful. It's fantastic.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So
I love it.
Okay, cool.
Glad I could share it with you again.
Anything else you want to say?
No.
Okay.
I gotta go to the bathroom.
All right, well. All right, well, see you, everybody. Subscribe and stuff if you want.
All right, be right back.
See you in the next one.